Hey guys, guten Abend aus Deutschland, good evening from Germany. So let me get right into it. This week I had two doctor's appointments. One was my first appointment at a psychiatrist office for years. I haven't been in like 20 years. And so she was nice, and I told her my story. I said I don't even know where to start, and I don't want to take up too much of her time. And then I narrowed it down to coming back from the States after 11 years, my parents' health, the job that was so stressful, and letting go of that job, and now my parents' health situation. And she said, "Well, no wonder your body and soul are under a lot of stress, and that is expressed in hives, for example, or other things, but in my case, mainly hives." And so she discussed with me a whole bunch of paths we could go down on, and I said, well, for me, the most important thing is that I have the energy for the next few weeks to continue what we have to do for my parents. And so energy is my main focus, not so much a long-term solution, but like maybe a temporary patch, of that situation. And so she prescribed something to me that is called bupropion. I'm gonna put it on the screen here, and it's an antidepressant. And what I didn't know, of course, when I was sitting in front of her, were the side effects, and the ones that can be expected. Some of them are hives. Can you believe that? Hives and problem sleeping, and that's the two last things I need in my life right now, because I can't remember the last time I slept 8 hours in a row. And so yeah, so my first thing was I don't know if I'm gonna take them, the usual. Something that I asked a psychiatrist, because I remember taking something in the 80s that actually turned out to be an amphetamine. I didn't know that at the time. A friend of mine took it, and her mother approved of that, and her mother was not. Let's say the trailer park. I don't want to say anything bad about trailer park people, but you know what I'm saying. Nothing ghetto going on, nothing drug related or alcohol related. And so her mother approved of it, and so I asked my doctor if he could prescribe it for me, because even though I had gone to school with her, I was working at the time, and I was working for the U.S. military, and they had a huge reforger going on. And that is like an exercise where units from all kinds of countries are gathering, and at the time they gathered in Germany. And so I didn't get a day off for 6 weeks, and so my doctor approved. He took blood, and he said, "Okay, I can prescribe you that." And so he prescribed an amphetamine, and what that did was it made me focus a lot better mentally. And later on, I found out that amphetamines reverse some of the symptoms of ADHD. And so I didn't know any of that at the time. I just know that that amphetamine helped me, and I only took it for 4 weeks, and then I dropped it again, because then the 6 weeks were over, and all those units went back home, and I got to take, I think, a couple of weeks off or something like that. And so I remembered that, and so since now I know that I have ADHD, at the time I didn't know that. I was only diagnosed in I think 2004, a few years before I moved to the States. And so I told her, I said, I used to take an amphetamine only for 4 weeks, and if I could do that right now, it would get me through the time of having to take care of all these things relating to my parents' living situation. And at the same time, I'm not so depressed, because that with the hives and the lack of sleep doesn't really help. And so what she said is, and I completely understand, even though I was disappointed, she said, yeah, but I can't prescribe them to you because they relate to the body. And I said, but it's neurological, isn't it? And you're a psychiatrist. And she said, yeah, but I deal with the mind, not so much with the body. And so if I want to have more energy and lose weight, that would actually be my PCP. And I said, okay, then I'm going to ask him. And so that is why she said that maybe antidepressants would be the right way to go. But when I looked them up, I did see all these side effects, and I don't want any more hives, and I don't want any more disturbances in my sleep pattern. The next morning, I had the appointment at the ENT, which is, I told you guys, is kind of strange to me because I'm thinking just having an allergy test for inhalative substances seems to be kind of strange. If it's pollen, then they only fly in the spring. And so, inhalative doesn't seem the right way. And so I told that doctor right away. I told him the story about having hives, not being able to sleep, with my nerves now, of course, suffering from the lack of sleep. I can only sleep for consecutive hours, and that is not enough. It's been going on for months. And when he asked me what doctors I had seen concerning this, I said to him only my PCP, and he could just, wrote me a sick slip here and there for a couple of days when the hives were unbearable or I hadn't slept at all in days. And I said I also contacted the emergency room of the dermatology clinic. We have university clinics all over the place here. And I contacted the directors of 3 clinics that are dermatology related. And I got an email back saying that they don't have any appointments, they don't take any new patients, and if I had an emergency to see a dermatologist, and when I did that during the past few years, he would only prescribe cortisone lotions, which I do not approve of because they have long-lasting effects, and they only shut me up for the time being, but they don't really, give me an idea as to why this is happening. And so I told him that that clinic gave me an appointment for the end of November, 28th of November. And he said, well, if you do have any problems with your breathing organs, like if you feel like your throat is closing up, you're going to have to dial 911. And I said, I know, my PCP already told me. And I also haven't had my sleep apnea diagnosed, and I don't have a CPAP machine. And so I'm reluctant to taking anything that might let me sleep through the night. I do have melatonin gummies here, but I took them once and then the hives got worse. Not sure why. I'm really not sure why, and I'm probably never going to find out. And so I told him about this and that my body keeps swelling, and that my doctor, the PCP, said that this is not edema. This is not. This is a swelling, a whole body swelling. And so the ENT said, I'm not quite sure what to say to that because I am an ENT, but you're in luck because I studied at the university hospital, blah, blah, blah. And so he said, I do not want to do an allergy test today because that doesn't seem to be solving any problems since you've had your ailments for over a year. And so it is not seasonal and it is not caused by some kind of substance. And I said, exactly, that's what I was thinking. And, I just wanted to follow the steps that my PCP gave me. And he said, he asked me for my permission to have another colleague come over from the neighbor office, and so he did. And I was amazed by that. The doctor that I first talked to told his colleague word for word what I said, what my symptoms are, for how long they've been persisting. And so when you watch people like Amberlynn Reed that can't remember what she said 5 seconds ago, and then you have a doctor who can, without any preparation, repeat about a 5 minutes monologue of yours, to me that is impressive, right? Okay, so he told the other doctor, and the second doctor kept looking at me like, whoa, that he's never heard of. He said, you have symptoms that do not seem to appear in the same patient. So you are kind of, that with the antidepressant that had its reverse effect, and then having hives for this long. As soon as the job was gone, the hives should have gone. If you want to talk about, psychological problems and emotional stress. And I said, just yesterday I was at the psychiatrist and she said the same thing, but she said she's not a dermatologist and so she can only evaluate the mind. And she said to me that I seem to be at the top of my game, I seem to be alert, and so the lack of sleep hasn't really done any damage. So that was her evaluation and given me antidepressants. Um, but again, when I read the side effects that can be expected, not just the ones that occur once in a while, but the ones that can be expected, I don't need any more hives. I need sleep. It is what I need. And so, to make a long story short, both ENTs said that this is not an allergic reaction, not even a systemic allergic reaction, since they asked me about my heart, and the internist had excluded heart insufficiency or heart failure, and so that's not what that is. And so, what they would like to do, and actually ended up doing, is do an extensive blood panel, and that included me having to give 6 containers of blood. I felt dizzy afterwards, even though it's not a whole lot of blood. I mean, imagine how many liters we have in the human body, right? But they took a whole lot of blood, and what they're trying to do is determine a bunch of, look at a whole bunch of factors, one of them being the creatine number in my blood that might point to a kidney failure or a kidney dysfunction, which I can exclude because I have no problems with my kidneys, never had, and so that's not it. But they're going down a path where they're extensively they did or they're going to extensively test everything they can in the blood to figure out what is going on, and I really appreciate that because. Guys, I have a new doctor now since mine moved out of walking distance from me. And so since I think last June, was it June? Sometime last year. No, actually, no, it was in the fall because I figured out that in September my doctor had moved. And so I decided to get another doctor. And so my new doctor hasn't even taken blood. He hasn't seen any of the hives that I told him about except for a swelling in a facial swelling like on my cheek. And these hives come and go like within a day or two, and so they're never like permanently. But yesterday when I woke up at 4 o'clock because again I can only sleep 4 hours in a row. I woke up at 4 o'clock and my lower lip was swollen, the left side of it. And so that came in pretty handy because when I showed up at the doctor's office and they saw that, I said, now I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. My body does this in different spots, changing spots, and I would like for that to stop somehow. I would just like to get through what we have to get through and figure out solutions because I'm not the kind of person that will continue to go to doctors. You know what I'm saying? They can tell me, okay, this is wrong with me or not, or by doing this, you can eliminate that. And so that's the kind of person I am. Yeah, so that's where we're at. So I gotta call them. Wait, today is what? Today's Thursday, so tomorrow I gotta call them and see if they already have any results. If not, I'm gonna have to wait for 2 weeks because they're gonna be closed because they changed the software in their office. And so I've been dealing with this for over a year, and so I can wait another couple of weeks, so I'm not in a hurry. And so that is the update on that. And so he mentioned so many things that I had never even heard the terminology of. For example, CRP. So when I came home, of course, I googled it, and it is a test, a blood test that checks for inflammation in the body. And I know that it's inflammation because every time I get a hive, that part of the body is hot, burning hot. And so they're gonna check that, and also because of my lack of sleep. Even though they have a lab in the, I think in the building or the next building over, they have a sleep lab, and they said it makes no sense that they're gonna try to do a sleep study on me when I can only sleep 4 hours, consecutive hours, and so they would first like to solve the first problem and then move on to uh, the sleep um, the sleep study and the diagnosis of sleep apnea, which I most definitely have. And so, yeah, I'm really happy with how things went, even though I still have no answers. And also, the two doctors told me, or they asked me what kind of medications I take. And I said, well, I do take toracemid for, as a diuretic to get rid of the water, but the water never really goes away. And they said, yeah, because it's not water. And I almost cracked up laughing because that's what my PCP said. And I said, then what do you figure it is? And they said, well, the swelling. It's swelling of the body. And I said, what is the definition of swelling? Water entering or moving to a certain part of the body, right? And they said, yeah, but there are different reasons for swellings. And let's say you sprain your ankle or whatever, your ankle swells up, and that is because of trauma from the outside. That is not the case with me. Then there could be an allergic reaction with which these two, and they are allergologists, from what I've told them, and knowing that I'm allergic to house dust, for example, dust you cannot get away from; it's everywhere, right? And so, and I told them about taking this loratadine, and so they said this is not an allergic reaction, and so what they would like to do is exclude an organic failure, an organ failure, such as maybe the kidneys or whatever, since heart insufficiency has already been ruled out, and then another reason could be that the swelling is psychosomatic. And I've been having problems with my skin, or I don't want to say problem because I actually love my body, but my skin has been expressing itself every time I went through a stressful phase in my life. And so they're just going to exclude that there's a deeper going problem in the body. And when they've excluded that, then, for example, the psychiatrist can prescribe something different, maybe not something that causes hives too, right? But yeah, there are different reasons for swellings in the body, and they are trying to exclude that it's any of the organs causing that now. So they asked me what medications I take, and I said only toracemid, and other than that, dietary supplements. And they said which are, and the looks on doctors' faces when you tell them you take dietary supplements, it's like I think most doctors think that when you take dietary supplements, it's just buying these pills is just paying for expensive urine. And I don't look at it this way because I know when I don't take my D3, yeah, D3 supplements, then my depressions get worse. And so I told him, because I know it by heart. You guys know that because I've mentioned it several times in my videos. I take B12, C, D3 in combination with K2, um, calcium, and magnesium, and uh, what is it called? Fish oil, omega 3, 6, and 9, and biospirulina and chlorella. And for that, one of the doctors whipped out his phone, and he said, oh, green algae. And I said, yeah, to detox the body. And he said, okay, stop with all of that. Stop with the insanity. He said, stop taking everything. Everything. And I said, what about the antidepressants I was prescribed yesterday? He said, everything. Don't take anything, and let the body just find out where it's at. And so that's what I'm going to do. But I do get to take my desloratadine, my um, my anti-allergy medication, and I haven't even done that yet, so I still gotta take one. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. And I have so much to do here, guys. I have to go, but I just wanted to give this update since some of you already messaged me asking me how the doctor's appointments went. That's how they went. I still have no answers, but things are underway. And so, thank you for showing interest. Thank you for listening to this, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Tschüssi.